We do want to talk about the Patriots. And I know, what's there to say about the Patriots? They're interviewing offensive coordinators. I think they talked with Sean Jefferson today, or they were scheduled to talk with Jefferson today. The Bill O'Brien interview was yesterday, and there's some questions now. Questions about O'Brien and whether or not an offensive coordinator job is even what he's looking for at this point. There's still plenty of head coaching vacancies out there in the NFL. Maybe there's a team that likes O'Brien for something like that. Burt Breer was on NBC Sports Boston last night, and he tackled some of these questions along with the Patriots and how they may be in the same position as another team also in the AFC East was last year.
I mean, as far as I've heard, it sounds like everything went smoothly and to plan. And I don't think this thing is a slam dunk. There's obviously potentially some other opportunities for him out there. Do the Tennessee Titans give him a call? They've obviously got an opening. They just wrapped up their general manager search. He's also very close with Monty Austinfort, the new GM in Arizona. So could he get a head coaching interview in Arizona? I think all these things are things to consider, but certainly I think this is what everybody, who roots for the Patriots wanted, because he's got background in the offense. I think the transition here will be seamless. He's got some background, not a ton, but some background with Mac Jones. It feels to me like this is all sort of set up where the Patriots, if they wanted to close the deal quickly, they could.
Can we start there?
Sure.
If the Patriots wanted to close the deal quickly, they could, but Breer says it's not a slam dunk. The interview yesterday was not a slam dunk. Went as planned, sounds like it was successful, but it wasn't at the end, everybody high-fived.
Right.
They were like, let's get started.
They weren't like, you're not leaving here till you sign this contract, Bill. That didn't happen.
Well, that would be kind of disrespectful in a way, don't you think?
Yeah.
If somebody hands you a job offer and they're like, you decide this right here and now, you're like, no.
Otherwise, the offer's off the table.
Yeah,
I hate crap like that.
No,
yeah.
you got to be like, hey, I need a little bit to talk to my family. And, of course, that doesn't really, mean much because you've already talked to your family.
Sure.
But you want to go home and think it over and make sure that you can't, squeeze a little more out of it. Really is the truth.
Was a job offered, do you think? Do you think they said, you're our man, we want you, and this is...
Well, this was something that
balls in your court now,
Tommy Kern slipped in a little bit when we talked to him the other day. He said that he thought there would be an offer. That he said it kind of casually, so I wouldn't take it as a report, but it was kind of that's a foregone conclusion. That Bill O'Brien, if I'm remembering correctly, I hope I'm remembering correctly, but I do remember that conversation going as if it's expected generally that the logical thing would be for him to get the offer.
Okay. So let's say an offer was made and it wasn't taken right there at the table, and then Bill said, that's great. Thanks for the offer. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to go think about it. End of the weekend?
Well, how about I'm going to take it home and I'm going to work some back channels with some other people.
Well, yeah, I'm going to interview with these other head coaching jobs now.
We haven't seen him get interviewed anywhere else, right? That's where the Monty thing is really interesting that Breer slipped in there.
Yeah, and the Arizona situation is one that I think O'Brien could do okay in, as a head coach. I don't know. For an offensive coordinator, I think that he still has all the chops and all the qualifications for that, and the Patriots would be much better off with him as their offensive coordinator, sure. But I don't think that, we all talk about it like it's such a great fit, and it is for the Patriots. But for Bill O'Brien, it's the same job he had 11 years ago, and now he's reapplying for it. If there's a head coaching job out there that he can take, of course he's going to take it, right? That's sort of what I think. I don't know. And, there's the family aspect of it, which Curran, again, said was a big, big thing in his decision-making
really
process. And I'm sure it is. But there's also a big difference between coordinator money and head coach money. And for your family, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer there, too. I'll see you in the offseason.
It's also,
honey, we're
look,
making a lot of money here.
Here's the other side of it. I do think this is a good situation for Bill O'Brien to walk into, and that he'll most likely be successful, at least on its face, if he comes in here and turns things around. And it's going to be successful, I believe. That's not a guarantee, though. If he has the opportunity to have a head coaching job in Arizona versus the opportunity to be an offensive coordinator here, maybe fail, and then have no options other than continue doing the job, to your point, that he was doing years ago. Do you really if you can skip the step that you might fail at, wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
They have very strict criteria right now in Arizona, too.
Ego will not be tolerated in this organization.
Okay. If You say so there. You say so there, Monty. Breer went on to talk about
build a team.
Okay. Breer went on to talk about the Patriots and the position that they're in right now with their quarterback. And he compares it to a team which, you think about it, it's not really that far off of a comparison, certainly with the position that they're in with their Alabama quarterback who, maybe didn't have the greatest season.
I look at this as such a critical point with your young quarterback, and I've made this comparison before. I think the Patriots are right now where the Dolphins were with Tua Tagovailoa last year, where they really didn't have answers on who they have as a quarterback, to the point where they're ready to make a decision on potentially a $30 million fifth-year option or extending the guy. And so now, in his third offseason, they've got to do things to try to put pieces around him where they can get clarity on the quarterback. One way to do that is to go with the safest guy, the safest pick as your offensive coordinator, and that's very clearly Bill O'Brien.
Okay.
Well, the good news is now Miami is really clear with what they're going to do with Tua.
I mean, I'll tell you, that does throw a wrench into all of this, and I know that whenever I've praised Mike McDaniels or the Dolphins and what they've done with Tua, there's a giant asterisk, and that is that,
God,
Tua may
show
never
off.
play football again.
Show off with the tough word.
Because of all his concussions that he's gotten. And I agree that that's an awful thing, and it sucks for them and it sucks for him. But prior to that, Tua Tagovailoa, he really unlocked something this year. There's no doubt about it. What Tua became, Mac Jones could only hope and pray. And I think that you need to have those kind of receivers and people to throw to, sure, but you also have to have someone designing an offense that plays to your strengths. And Tua, listen, Tyreek Hill is the type of wide receiver who can do a lot of different things. He can get open down the field. He can get open over the middle. He's shifty and fast, and he can do a lot of things. But Tua Tagovailoa is not Russell Wilson bombing the ball 65, Josh Allen 65-yard bombs down the field.
I like how you switched that.
Or either one of them.
Really quickly.
Wilson used to be more of that, but now Allen's more that guy. And so, that's not Tua. He could be, Tyreek Hill could work with a guy like that, and certainly Waddle can, but, they were able to streamline an offense that worked out perfectly for everybody. That offense was a well-oiled machine until Tua started banging his head, unfortunately. And that's a big wrench to throw into all this. But I think that ultimately here, the Patriots would do well to sort of emulate, aside from the concussion angle of it, but emulate what the Dolphins did in terms of streamlining the offense and building something that made their quarterback comfortable.
I would be worried about the streamlining idea because I think that's what they try to do. They say that they try to do with the playbook this year. I'm not sure that's exactly, and I don't know that they can replicate what the Dolphins did, where they shored up the line at the same time that they were able to get Tyreek Hill and already had Waddle in there.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots just feel further away from that, but at the same time, Mac is a different kind of quarterback. And I think that if they can get an offensive coordinator in here who can understand what Mac's strengths are, to your point, and play to those, that's just the first step. I don't know if at the end of next season they're going to be able to tell if Mac is a franchise guy. And that's really scary. That's what's so scary about having this lost year is it's not just that it feels like a regression for Mac. It looks like a regression for Mac and not even just being put in this holding pattern, but you lost a whole year of evaluation. Unless you really believe that this is who Mac is, and if you do, then if you believe that this is who Mac is, then you've already made your decision.
It's kind of true. Guys,
thanks.
Guys, if that's what you believe,
Actually true, Mego.
No, I'm saying I agree with you. I think that if this is what Mac, if you've made that decision, right? If that's sort of where you stand on it,
but then wouldn't you be moving on?
You would be.
Wouldn't you behind the scenes be trying to find a new quarterback?
Except you still have a financial incentive here, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to find a new quarterback, it means you got to draft a new quarterback, and then you have to go through all that, or you have to sign somebody or something else. You still have a cost
try to make
control.
it work for another year with the quarterback on the cheap contract and see how far you get.
And I'll tell you what, that's right up Bill Belichick's alley, isn't it?
It's just
that
so
sort of
dark.
thing. It is, but that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
I know, Bill. It is, and that's why I think you're not going to move on from him now, unless they go to Bailey Zappi or something, or decide to really downgrade and say anybody can do this.
Happen.
I don't think so either. I think the team and the organization really likes Mac Jones, and I also think that teammates, unless you want to really overhaul that roster again, then you have to stick with Mac Jones, because you saw that poem he posted on Instagram. All his teammates replied to it. Almost every single one of the offensive linemen, defensive players, wide receivers, tight ends, everybody's in there yeah, Mac, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
cool
my
Rudyard
guy,
Kipling
my
poem.
guy.
My man.